Hey everybody, so today I got this CRKT Chogan light hatchet. CRKT's got a lot of Chogan hatchets that are usually meant to be put on a handle where you can remove them. But this one has a polymer handle. It's pretty light, pretty small head. Got it because it was pretty cheap. It was around $35. And I want to put it through its paces today. I have some concerns about it. But other than that, like first impressions, this seems like it'll be a pretty decent hatchet for just kind of camp splitting, taking down branches and stuff. It's got a striking head on the back that'll be great for pounding in steaks, stuff like that. So we're going to test all that. The only concerns I really have, it didn't come super sharp. I was going to sharpen it, but figured for the review I should probably keep it unsharpened just to show you what you're going to get. I'm definitely going to sharpen it later, but just to kind of show you, this is what you get shipped when you order this hatchet. It's got a pretty slick handle. I'm wearing wool glove liners. I'm pretty sure that this is going to slip out if I swing too hard. It does have this paracord to kind of counteract that, but we'll kind of see what that does. Also has this leather sheath. You have to order this separately, and I think this was like 20 bucks. But it's pretty nice. I haven't fitted it on my belt yet, so that'll also be part of the test, but it keeps it nice and snug. There's no way that blade's coming through. So yeah, we're just gonna film taking down some brush, just kind of getting stuff ready for a normal campfire, kind of what you usually be doing with this. We got plenty of stuff down here to do that, and then we're also gonna test out the striking end and see if we can get some steaks made and see kind of how well that works. So yeah, we'll just get right into it. So something you'd obviously be using a camp hatchet for is for splitting kindling. So I'm gonna test that out real quick. I got some pre-processed firewood that we're just gonna split up into some kindling. We'll just kind of see how it processes it, how well it splits it apart, and then how well it kind of does the finer kindling. So first impressions, obviously, as you guys saw, it splits pretty well. First split into some bigger chunks, and then started doing some of the finer kindling stuff, just chopping it into smaller pieces. And the control with it's actually pretty good. Even though it's not very sharp, it still splits stuff pretty good, gets a good bite on the first hit, and does pretty well, especially when I sharpen it. I think it's gonna do really well. The geometry on it is fantastic. It's got just enough of a swell at the cheeks to push that wood apart, even though it's still a pretty thin hatchet. And again, it surprised me because of how dull it is, how well it was splitting. Just in normal splitting, I didn't really have a problem keeping any grip on the hatchet. I thought it was going to because of how slick the handle is, but it does have some knurling here that I was doubtful about, but it actually seems to be doing pretty well. And I think especially without gloves on, it'd be doing great. So yeah, splitting. It does fantastic. That's kind of a benchmark I want for my hatchets. If it doesn't split wood well, there's really no point to have it. So next we're going to kind of just do some general camp tasks, and we're also going to kind of just go chop down some limbs and stuff, just kind of simulate like breaking trail, how well this thing would be on your pack. So yeah, let's get right into it. So real quick before we go out and start chopping the brush, I just wanted to show off the belt sheath. It sits a pretty good spot. It's pretty comfortable for the most part. I'd usually have this on my pack, but if I just have like a small day pack on, there's not really a spot to strap it on my bag. This would be something you could utilize. The snaps work pretty well. It comes in and out pretty easily. And that's something that I've had a problem with in the past with some axe sheaths, is they don't snap in as easily as this one. As you saw there, just pulled it in and out pretty quick. It's actually made of some pretty nice leather. I have about 1.75 inch belt, and it fit through the belt loops just fine. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. It's pretty snug. I can yank on this all day and it's not coming out. So even though you have to buy the sheath separately, I think it's definitely worth it. All right, so we got this down tree back here with all these branches coming off. We're gonna kind of just test out some general chopping and whacking off branches. Kind of see how well this edge does, even though it's dull. Kind of how it feels in the hand, how comfortable it is, stuff like that. So let's get to it. So first impressions is kind of doing that thing that most hatchets kind of do in the cold, where they just snap branches off more than cutting them. But honestly, in my book, that's okay. Really, the goal would just be to get rid of branches. Some of them, though, that are kind of laying pretty flat on the tree, like this one, a good swing is still cutting them clean. So even with that, again, that geometry, even with that duller edge, it's still cutting pretty well. So I'm still gonna put an edge on it because I like my hatchets to be pretty sharp, but it does pretty well. So, I mean, this tree was a couple of minutes ago covered in branches, and now it's nice and clean. So take that for what you will. Again, it is kind of cold out, so it is some of them just breaking them off. But like that one was cutting. So yeah, overall, does pretty good. It can chop branches. So next thing I want to test is kind of how well it bites into the side of a log or a pole. So if you're cutting small dead trees to build a shelter, something like that, well, it does that. So I got this stump right here. The tree's already cut off of it, so we're not, cutting down on a fully alive and healthy tree. So yeah, let's kind of just see how that does. So this is where I can kind of start to see the dullness of the hatchet. Again, this is not really quite what it's meant for. But when I'm looking for a camp hatchet, I kind of want something that does something universal, right? It can chop down poles, it can split wood, make kindling, stuff like that. So it is kind of important to me to have a hatchet that cuts through poles really well. Maybe not something quite this big, usually something a little smaller, but point still stands. A quick sharpening will make this bite a lot better, but this is where I'm seeing the dullness from the factory. It's not biting into the wood as much, and this is a pretty dry stump, so I would expect it to kind of carve a little bit better, or at least get me a good slough whenever I hit it diagonally. But it's really not doing that. So again, a quick sharpen will fix all that up, and it'll bite this much better, bite trees and just wood in general much better. So yeah, we're gonna go cut a pole because I want to try making a stake, because I want to test this hammer end and see how well that'll pound a stake into the ground. The ground's a little frozen, but we'll kind of see how it goes. All right, so that's the CRKT Chogan hatchet. Honestly, I think it did pretty well. I'm pretty happy with the purchase. No edge damage, so that was something I was going to watch out for too. Part of that is probably because of how dull the edge is and how large the angle is, which is still, that's good on a hatchet. I still want my angle to be a pretty wide angle at the edge so it doesn't chip or roll or anything like that. So it splits well, it chops well for the most part, gets down branches good. The only thing I think it kind of struggles with is when you're trying to, like, as you saw with the when I was chopping in the side of that tree, it doesn't bite super hard, but that can be fixed with just, you know, a tiny bit of attention to the edge here, and this thing will be perfect. The hammerhead works well. I pounded in that stake and also pounded in a couple nails with it, and it does pretty all right for being for what it is. I mean, it's a tiny little striking head, but really that's all you need. You just need something to pound in stakes, and this does that really well. Again, I was surprised. The handle, I didn't really slip out as much as I thought I was going to. It stayed pretty tight and grippy, and no damage to the plastic handle. I didn't really hit anything on the handle, so I'll be curious to see how well that does over time. But there's no damage to that. It did really, really well. We'll kind of see how it goes in the long run. I think, you know, this is definitely something that that would be a good purchase. Kind of who I would say it's for, you know, just somebody who's kind of doing some backpacking and hiking and bushcrafting on a budget, like myself. You know, or just to keep by your wood stove, if your house is heated with wood, just to chop up kindling, and just kind of be that multi-purpose, you know, kind of bladed device that you would keep by your wood stove to make kindling and stuff. So yeah, great for 35 bucks. I can't be any happier with it. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure if you liked this video to drop a like, put a comment, and follow me with a subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And then comment what you'd like to see, and any questions you have about this hatchet or anything about this video, go ahead and throw them down there and I'll answer all of them. Thanks, guys.